I mean, nobody at all should be surprised. Back in December, when EA CFO Blake Jorgensen discussed the microtransactions in Battlefront 2, he almost made it seem like they wouldn't make a return by saying we turned the microtransactions off as an opportunity to work on the progression system inside the game. We're continuing to do that. And might I add, the real reason was Disney, not EA. But he continued adding, over time we'll address how we will want to bring the microtransactions either into the game or not, and what form we will decide to bring it into. But we do know for sure that the microtransactions that caused worldwide outrage from millions of gamers is going for a round 2. EA's CFO Blake Jorgensen confirmed just days ago to the Wall Street Journal that microtransactions will be reintroduced in the coming months and that they'll do it when they are ready. As part of EA's latest earnings report, CEO Andrew Wilson addressed the controversy surrounding Battlefront 2 and also doubled down on microtransactions, saying going forward, we believe that live services that include optional digital monetization, when done right, provide a very important element of choice that can extend and enhance the experience in our games. We're committed to continually working with our players to deliver the right experience in each of our games and live services. Wilson would also go on to discuss how he's happy with the outspoken community. Yeah. He said, we never intended to build an experience that could be seen as unfair or lacking clear progression, so we removed the feature that was taking away from what fans were telling us was an otherwise great game. We are fortunate to have such passionate players that will tell us when we get it right and when we don't. We're now working hard on more updates that will meet the needs for our players, and we hope to bring these to the Battlefront 2 community in the months ahead. But when I show you this graph of EA's earnings, all of this makes sense. Microtransactions are EA, and if you stop doing that, then you pretty much rip out the heart of who Electronic Arts is. And this is not changing until FIFA or Madden Ultimate Team's microtransactions get targeted and or boycotted, as that's EA's true moneymaker with this monetization scheme, or I guess if they call it a strategy. Another thing to note is that Andrew Wilson described the controversy with Battlefront 2 as definitely a learning experience, which back in December, Blake Jorgensen said the same thing, saying, it's been a great learning experience for us. We consider ourselves a learning organization. If we're not learning, that means we're failing in some way, and we're constantly trying to watch what people do and how they play and listen to them to decide what's the best to build great games. I just find this a bit ridiculous. Like, what they really learned is that getting scummy with pay-to-win tactics does not work, and gamers will unite to give a big FU. The thing is, right now, publishers have found that cosmetic loot boxes are the line that you cannot cross, because for the most part, gamers are okay with that, even though I think the implementation of any microtransactions or loot boxes has been setting up for a Battlefront 2 situation for a very long time. I will mention that Activision's Call of Duty has managed to weasel around the outrage with their scummy weapon loot boxes in past installments, but what EA did was take it a step too far. Let's not forget what they tried doing, adding star cards that originally had a major effect on the gameplay, as well as locking Star Wars heroes and villains behind a ridiculous grind, which led to the most downvoted Reddit response ever. Also, I'm adding this line after recording, but this company knew that gamers were angry and had pay-to-win concerns after the beta. You know what happened? Days before launch, reviewers and some players who got early access realized that Electronic Arts managed to make it even worse. If anything, if they were really learning, then after the beta these concerns would have been addressed properly, but they didn't, and they just didn't expect the mass pushback and Disney even getting upset with them. Additionally, it has been noted that Star Wars Battlefront 2 has only managed to sell around 7 million copies, which is a disappointment, but the only one who should be blamed is Electronic Arts. Specifically, Blake Jorgensen said this about the game's sales. For quarter 3, we had expected to sell about 8 million units, but we fell short of that by less than 1 million units. Some analysts before this whole controversy were expecting sales to be around 14 million units, which is extremely telling of how many players just decided to pass on the game. And please recognize that this is not just to do with the microtransactions. The quality of Star Wars Battlefront 2 is pretty mediocre, and a lot of people want something high quality, especially something with the Star Wars license. Now the next question some of you may be asking is, what way will microtransactions return into Battlefront 2? And thus far, our only real answer came about a week ago from DICE, in which they stated, your feedback has been essential here. We are preparing significant changes to progression and that will address many of the things we've seen players asking for. We'll be sharing more details about these changes in March. Being that the progression system is directly tied to microtransactions, maybe this means that they are going to go cosmetic after all. Although in the past Electronic Arts has stated that they could not do that because of Star Wars canon, even bringing up that fans would not want to see a pink or white Darth Vader, which, as I've noted before, is the most extreme and BS example that they could have used. Either way, we will not know for quite some time, but I'm almost 100% sure that they will be extremely careful with how they implement it into the game. Also, following all of this news, EA's stock has flown up, with investors in Wall Street excited by this news, so officially EA has recovered, making all of the $3 billion in stock value that they lost back, and more. And their stock even is at all-time highs right now. But again, this is initial happiness over microtransactions returning and them doubling down on it. I would think EA knows that they have to be cautious with how it's implemented moving forward. I will say though that this battle is far from over, and most of us expected EA to recover mainly because their true money-making feature, Ultimate Team, has not been hit at all. Remember that investigations are still ongoing, with at least 5 states in the United States looking into drafting law that would ban anyone under 21 from buying a game with microtransactions. Recently in Washington, State Senator Kevin Ranker introduced a bill that would require the state's gambling commission to determine whether loot boxes are in fact gambling, and suggest how to regulate them across gaming. Ranker would speak to the News Tribune and add that what the bill says is industry states sit down to figure out the best way to regulate this. It is unacceptable to be targeting our children with predatory gambling masked in a game with dancing bunnies or something. Furthermore, Ranker would also go on to add that if parents realized how predatory these games are, then they wouldn't want them under their Christmas tree. They wouldn't want them going to their kids. So maybe Battlefront 2 turns around to be a success when it's all said and done, but what EA can't unchange is bringing loot boxes into national conversation, and the fact that many lawmakers are now looking to take action. As much as I feel nervous about government overstepping, it's clear that this industry does not want to change and something has to be done. Anyway, I'll leave you guys with this question: what way do you think Battlefront 2 reintroduces microtransactions? Let me know in the comment section below. Also, thank you for watching. If you did enjoy this video or found any informative value, make sure to leave a like, follow me on Twitter and Instagram for updates on new videos and discussion on gaming news, and consider subscribing for more videos like this, and I'll see you later.